Before you spend that loose change in your pocket, you might want to take a closer look. Because hidden among ordinary coins could be 5 rare Roosevelt dimes that shocked collectors across the United States. Some of these coins were quietly stored in Federal Reserve vaults, while others circulated for years with scratches, wear, and environmental damage. Yet today, a few of these ordinary-looking coins have been talked about, with values reaching tens of thousands of dollars. In this video, we are going to reveal 5 Roosevelt dimes that could turn simple pocket change into an unexpected treasure. First coin. The United States Congress and the United States Department of the Treasury were facing a growing problem that most citizens never even noticed. For years, the Federal Reserve had been storing massive numbers of coins in its vaults. Row after row of sealed containers filled storage spaces across the country. Reports revealed that billions of coins were sitting untouched, including huge quantities of small denomination coins like the Roosevelt dime. These dimes, first introduced to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, had been a familiar part of American currency since 1946. Yet over time, changing payment habits, the rise of digital transactions, and reduced demand for certain coins created a silent buildup of unused currency. Imagine this scenario. While people continued using paper bills and digital payments, vaults filled with coins that were never needed in daily circulation. At one point, reports suggested that enormous numbers of coins, reaching into the billions, were stockpiled, enough to supply the nation for decades without minting new ones. This quiet accumulation sparked debates among officials. Should production continue at the same pace, or should the government slow down minting to avoid wasting resources? Eventually, Congress stepped in and passed measures that changed how many coins would be produced. For Link was not announced in dramatic headlines or urgent speeches. Instead, decisions were made through legislation and policy adjustments that most people never heard about. To the average person, nothing seemed different. Coins still appeared in change, and life went on as usual. But behind the scenes, the flow of coins into public hands had shifted. Now, let's focus on a specific coin that has captured attention among collectors. The 2012 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark, indicating it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. On the surface, this coin appears completely ordinary. It carries the familiar profile of President Roosevelt on the front, and a torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse. Millions of these coins were produced, and most were spent without a second thought. However, the world of coin collecting is filled with surprises. Sometimes coins that appear damaged or worn can develop unique characteristics that make them desirable to collectors. Environmental damage is one such factor. When a coin is exposed to moisture, soil, or harsh environments, it can develop corrosion, discoloration, and rough surfaces. In many cases, this damage lowers the coin's value. But in rare circumstances, unusual environmental effects combined with minting details can make a coin stand out. Picture a 2012 P Roosevelt dime that spent years in a harsh environment. Perhaps it was exposed to humidity, buried in soil, or stored in conditions that caused corrosion. The once smooth surface might now show dark patches, uneven toning, and rough textures. The edges may appear worn, and the fine details of Roosevelt's face might seem faded. To most people, this coin would look damaged and worthless. But to an experienced collector, such a coin might raise questions. Could the damage have interacted with a rare minting detail? Could it reveal a unique pattern not commonly seen on other coins? In rare situations, collectors have reported coins with unusual features attracting strong bidding interest at auctions. Stories circulate about coins that were once ignored but later discovered to have special characteristics that made them highly desirable. In extraordinary cases, certain 2012 Roosevelt dimes with unusual conditions and distinctive features have been discussed with estimated auction values reaching as high as $45,000. Such values are not typical and depend heavily on rarity, collector demand, and verified uniqueness. One of the most fascinating aspects of coin collecting is the idea that valuable coins can hide in plain sight. Unlike gold bars or rare gemstones locked away in vaults, coins travel through everyday life. They pass through countless hands, pockets, and cash registers. A rare piece might be sitting unnoticed among hundreds of ordinary coins, waiting for someone curious enough to examine it closely. The story of government stockpiles and production changes adds another layer of intrigue. When billions of coins are stored rather than circulated, fewer coins may reach the public over time. This can increase curiosity among collectors who wonder whether certain coins will become harder to find in circulation. Even modern coins, like those from 2012, can develop interest among collectors if unique conditions or historical circumstances surround them. If you ever find a 2012 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark that shows heavy wear or environmental damage, do not dismiss it immediately. Take a moment to study it carefully. Look at the surface under good lighting. Check for unusual marks, textures, or patterns that differ from normal link pair. Other dimes from the same year, if possible. Even small differences can sometimes make a coin special in the eyes of collectors. Most coins with environmental damage will still be worth only their face value, and that is an important reality to remember. But the excitement of searching through coins comes from the possibility that one unusual piece might tell a hidden story. Whether it is tied to government production changes, long-term storage in Federal Reserve vaults, or unexpected environmental effects, each coin carries a journey that reflects history in metal form. Next coin. The coin sitting quietly in your pocket right now because what you're about to hear sounds almost unbelievable. Without a press conference, without a loud public announcement, and while millions of people were simply living their daily lives, important decisions were being made behind closed doors about American coins. Deep inside the vaults of the Federal Reserve, massive numbers of coins were piling up, far more than the public was actually using. At the same time, lawmakers in the United States Congress were reviewing reports showing that billions of coins had been produced over the years, including large quantities of the familiar Roosevelt dime. This small coin, honoring Franklin D. Roosevelt, had been circulating in American pockets since the link was designed to replace the Mercury dime and to pay tribute to Roosevelt's leadership and his role in supporting the March of Dimes campaign. For decades, the Roosevelt dime became one of the most recognized coins in the United States. However, as years passed, something unexpected happened. The need for physical coins began to decline. People started using cards, online payments, and digital wallets more often. While daily transactions were changing, coin production continued steadily. Over time, the Federal Reserve vaults filled with row after row of sealed boxes containing coins that were never released into circulation. Reports suggested that more than 1 billion Roosevelt dimes were sitting unused, enough to supply the country for decades without producing new ones. This situation created concern among officials. Storing coins requires space, security, and maintenance. The cost of producing coins that people were not using became a topic of discussion. Eventually, Congress passed measures allowing the United States Department of the Treasury to adjust minting levels and reduce unnecessary production. There was no dramatic public statement that said certain coins were banned from existence, but in practical terms, many coins were quietly kept out of everyday circulation. They remained locked away in vaults, rarely seen by the public. Now imagine this happening while you were going about your normal routine, shopping, working, saving spare change, never realizing that billions of coins were sitting unused just miles away in secure link adds a mysterious feeling to the everyday coins we often ignore. Among these billions of coins, one particular example has captured the attention of collectors and coin hunters: the 1992 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark. The P indicates that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the most historic minting facilities in the United States. On the surface, the 1992 P Roosevelt dime appears. Link features the familiar portrait of Roosevelt on the front, and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch design on the reverse. Millions of these coins were minted, and most of them entered circulation without attracting any special attention. But the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. Sometimes a coin that looks worn, scratched, or even damaged can become the center of attention if it carries unusual features. Surface wear and scratches are common on coins that have spent years moving from hand to hand. Environmental damage can occur when coins are exposed to moisture, chemicals, soil, or harsh conditions. This type of damage often creates discoloration, corrosion spots, and rough textures on the surface. Picture a 1992 P Roosevelt dime that has clearly lived. A rough link's once shiny surface is now dull and covered with scratches. Dark stains appear across the metal, and corrosion has left uneven marks along the rim and lettering. The details of Roosevelt's face may appear faint due to years of friction and handling. To the average person, such a coin might look worthless or ready to be discarded. But to a collector with sharp eyes, even a damaged coin can hold secrets. In rare cases, unusual wear patterns or environmental reactions can create distinct textures or marks that make a coin different from others of the same year. Collectors search for anything unusual: misaligned strikes, rare surface reactions, or unexpected features that separate one coin from millions of similar ones. When such uniqueness is discovered, interest can grow quickly among collectors who compete to own rare items. Stories have circulated in the coin collecting community about rare Roosevelt dimes that gained surprising attention at auctions. While most 1,992p dimes remain worth only 10 cents, certain unusual examples have been discussed with estimated auction values reaching as high as $65,000. These extraordinary prices are usually linked to verified rarity, unique characteristics, or collector demand rather than simple wear alone. That is why authentication and professional evaluation are always important before assigning a high value to any coin. The idea that a damaged coin could hold such value makes coin collecting exciting, and reminds people that history is not always hidden in museums or locked behind glass cases. Sometimes, history travels quietly through everyday transactions, passing from one person to another without notice. Think about the jar of coins sitting on a shelf in your home. Many people store loose change for months or even years without ever checking what is inside. Among those coins could be pieces that have traveled through countless hands, survived harsh environments, and witnessed decades of economic change. Each scratch, stain, or worn edge tells a story about where the coin has been. If you ever find a 1,992 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark that shows heavy scratches, surface wear, or environmental damage, do not rush to spend it immediately. Take a moment to examine it carefully under bright light. Look closely at the lettering, the rim, and the small details of Roosevelt's portrait. Compare it with other coins from the same year if possible. Even the smallest unusual mark can spark curiosity among collectors. Most coins with damage will still be worth only their face value, and it is important to understand that high auction values are rare. Yet the thrill of coin collecting comes from the possibility that one overlooked piece might hold an unexpected story or value. The knowledge that billions of coins have been stored away in Federal Reserve vaults only adds to the mystery, reminding us that the coins we see every day are part of a much larger history. Next coin, the background. There was no press conference, no major public announcement, and no dramatic headlines that most people noticed. Behind the scenes, officials at the Federal Reserve were dealing with a situation that had slowly grown into a massive challenge. Billions of coins were being stored in vaults across the country, far more than the public actually needed. Inside those vaults were endless rows of containers filled with coins that had never reached everyday circulation. Reports suggested that nearly 1 billion of the familiar Roosevelt dime had been stockpiled over time. These small coins, first created to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, were once produced in large numbers to keep up with public demand. But as years passed, payment habits changed. People started using debit cards, credit cards, and mobile payments, leaving coins to sit unused in storage. This growing stockpile raised serious concerns among lawmakers in the United States Congress. Storing coins requires security, space, and ongoing costs. When production continues but usage slows, the number of stored coins keeps rising. Eventually, Congress passed laws allowing the United States Department of the Treasury to reduce unnecessary coin production and control the flow of coins into link was not described as a ban. In dramatic words, but in practical terms, fewer coins were released into the hands of the public. To the average person, life continued normally. You still received coins as change, and stores still accepted them. But behind the scenes, many coins remained locked away, rarely touched by human hands. This quiet shift created curiosity among collectors who wondered whether certain coins would become harder to find in the future simply because so many were stored instead of circulated. Among the coins that continue to spark interest is the 2005 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark. The letter D shows that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the major production facilities responsible for creating coins used across the United States. At first glance, the 2005 Roosevelt dime looks completely linked, shows the well-known portrait of President Roosevelt facing left, with the traditional torch, olive branch, and oak branch design on the reverse side. Millions of these coins were released into circulation, and most were used daily without attracting attention. Over time, many of them became circulated coins, showing visible signs of use. A circulated 2005 dime may display scratches, worn edges, and faded details from years of handling. These small imperfections tell the story of how the coin traveled through countless hands, cash registers, and pockets. Picture a 2005 Roosevelt dime that has been used regularly since the day it was minted. The once bright metal surface now shows fine scratches from constant contact with other coins. The edges may appear slightly worn, and the details of Roosevelt's hair and facial features may seem softer than when the coin was new. In very fine condition, the coin still shows clear design details, but visible wear confirms that it has been part of daily circulation. For most people, such a coin would be worth only 10 cents. But collectors often search for coins with unique histories or unusual characteristics. Even circulated coins can attract attention if they show distinctive features or rare qualities. In some cases, collectors examine coins for unusual strike patterns, die variations, or unique wear marks that set them apart from the millions of others minted in the same year. Stories within the coin collecting community sometimes highlight coins that gained unexpected attention at auctions. Certain circulated Roosevelt dimes from modern years have been discussed in collector circles due to their rarity or distinctive characteristics. Under rare conditions, some listings have suggested values reaching as high as $57,000 for specific coins that demonstrated unusual qualities verified by experts. Such values are not typical and usually depend on several important factors. Rarity plays a major role. If only a few examples of a certain variety exist, collectors are more likely to compete for ownership. Condition also matters, even for circulated coins. A coin graded as very fine still retains strong design details, making it more desirable than heavily worn examples. Additionally, collector demand can influence how much a coin sells for during an auction. The idea that a circulated coin from 2005 could be discussed alongside high-value collectibles captures the imagination of many coin hunters. It reminds people that valuable items are not always ancient or made of precious metals. Sometimes, modern coins with everyday designs can hold surprising stories that increase their appeal among collectors. Think about the coins stored in jars, drawers, or containers at home. Many people keep spare change without examining it closely. Over months or years, these small collections can grow into large piles of coins, each carrying its own journey through time. Some coins may have traveled across states, passed through hundreds of transactions, or remained hidden in forgotten places. If you ever find a 2005 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark that shows circulation scratches but still maintains clear details, it may be worth taking a closer look. Hold it under bright light and observe the surface carefully. Look for unusual marks, patterns, or differences compared to other coins from the same year. Even a small difference can make a coin interesting to collectors. Most circulated coins will always remain worth their face value, and it is important to remember that extremely high auction prices are rare and depend on verified uniqueness. However, the excitement of coin collecting comes from the search itself. The possibility that one overlooked coin might hold unexpected value keeps collectors motivated and curious. Next coin. The Federal Reserve, an enormous stockpile of coins, was building year after year, reaching numbers that sounded almost impossible to imagine. Reports revealed that nearly 1.8 billion coins, including huge quantities of the familiar Roosevelt dime, had been stored away in Federal Reserve facilities across the country. These vaults were filled with sealed boxes stacked floor to ceiling, containing coins that had never made it into everyday circulation. The Roosevelt dime, first issued to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, had been a trusted part of American currency since 1946. For decades, it passed through millions of hands, helping people make everyday purchases. But as technology advanced and digital payments became more common, fewer people relied on coins. While the public slowly shifted toward cards and electronic payments, coin production continued at a steady pace. Over time, the number of unused coins grew larger and larger. Storing billions of coins created challenges. Security costs increased, storage space became limited, and the expense of minting coins that people rarely used became harder to justify. This growing concern reached lawmakers in the United States Congress, who began reviewing reports and discussing solutions. Eventually, Congress passed legislation allowing the United States Department of the Treasury to adjust coin production levels. The goal was to prevent further buildup of unused coins and manage the existing stockpile more efficiently. There was no dramatic announcement telling people that Roosevelt dimes were banned from existence, but in practical terms, many coins remained locked away instead of being released into the hands of the link was a quiet shift, almost invisible to everyday citizens, yet it had a lasting effect on how coins circulated across the country. Now imagine this happening while you were going about your daily routine, unaware that billions of coins were sitting silently inside vaults, enough to supply the nation for decades without creating new ones. That idea alone adds a sense of mystery to the coins you see every day. Among the countless Roosevelt dimes produced over the years, one specific coin has captured attention among collectors, the 1999 and Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark. The P indicates that the coin was minted in Philadelphia, one of the oldest and most important minting facilities in the United States. On its surface, the 1999p Roosevelt dime looks like any other dime. It carries the well-known portrait of President Roosevelt on the front and the classic torch, olive branch, and oak branch design on the reverse. Millions of these coins were produced, and most entered circulation where they were used in daily transactions. Over time, many became circulated coins, showing visible signs of wear. A circulated 1999p dime might display scratches from contact with other coins, faded shine from years of handling, and rough areas caused by environmental exposure. Picture a 1999p Roosevelt dime that has spent years moving from pocket to link's surface may show small scratches scattered across the metal. Dark patches of discoloration might appear where moisture or environmental conditions affected the coin. The edges may feel slightly rough, and corrosion spots may form where the coin was exposed to humidity or chemicals. To an average person, such a coin might seem damaged and worthless, something easily ignored or spent without a second thought. But collectors often see things differently. In the world of coin collecting, unusual conditions sometimes create interest rather than reduce it. Environmental damage, when combined with unique surface patterns or rare minting characteristics, can produce a coin that looks unlike most others from the same year. Collectors carefully examine coins under magnification, searching for differences in texture, color, or design that might signal rarity. There have been stories shared among collectors about unusual Roosevelt dimes gaining attention during auctions. Although most circulated and damaged coins remain worth only their face value, certain rare examples with unique characteristics have been discussed, with estimated auction values reaching as high as $72,000. These values are extremely rare and usually depend on verified rarity, collector demand, and authentication by professional grading services. What makes this idea exciting is the possibility that valuable coins may exist in places people rarely check. Many individuals keep jars of spare change at home, sometimes collecting coins for years without sorting through them. Each coin inside those jars has traveled through many hands, survived different environments, and collected marks that tell a story of its journey. If you ever come across a 1999 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark that shows scratches, corrosion, or environmental damage, it may be worth taking a closer look. Hold it under bright light and observe the details carefully. Look at Roosevelt's portrait, check the lettering along the edges, and compare the coin to others from the same year. Even small differences can attract attention from collectors who specialize in studying coin varieties. Of course, it is important to understand that most damaged coins will still be worth only their face value. High auction prices are rare and typically involve special circumstances beyond ordinary wear. However, the thrill of coin collecting comes from the chance that one overlooked coin might reveal an unexpected feature or hidden rarity. Think about the coins you receive as change today. Each one has its own path through history. Some were stored for years, others traveled long distances, and a few may carry unique characteristics that make them stand out. The knowledge that billions of coins remain stored in Federal Reserve vaults only adds to the mystery, reminding us that the coins we handle daily are part of a much larger system. The Federal Reserve. Billions of coins were slowly piling up, creating one of the largest stockpiles of currency most people had never even heard about. Officials discovered that nearly 1.8 billion coins, including large numbers of the familiar Roosevelt dime, were sitting unused in storage. These dimes, created to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, had been produced for decades to meet public demand. Since its introduction in 1946, the Roosevelt dime became one of the most common coins in the United States, found in pockets, purses, and cash registers across the nation. But as technology advanced and electronic payments became more popular, fewer people relied on physical coins. While Americans increasingly used cards and digital payments, coin production continued year after year. Over time, vaults filled with sealed boxes stacked from floor to ceiling, each containing thousands of coins waiting to be used. Reports revealed that the stored amount was so large it could supply the country for decades without producing additional coins. This created serious concerns for lawmakers in the United States Congress, who began reviewing the growing problem. Eventually, Congress passed measures allowing the United States Department of the Treasury to reduce coin production and manage the existing supply. More-Link was not announced as a dramatic ban on Roosevelt dimes, but in reality, many coins were quietly held back from circulation. Instead of reaching the hands of everyday citizens, they remained locked away in secure facilities, rarely touched and mostly forgotten. Now imagine this happening while you were living your life, unaware that billions of coins were stored in hidden vaults. It creates a sense of mystery around the coins we often overlook. Among the many Roosevelt dimes produced during these years, one particular example has drawn attention from collectors: the 2005 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark. The letter P indicates that this coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, one of the oldest minting facilities in the United States. On the surface, the 2005 P Roosevelt dime looks completely ordinary. It features the well-known portrait of President Roosevelt facing left, along with the traditional reverse design showing a torch surrounded by olive and oak branches. Millions of these coins were minted, and most were released into circulation, where they passed through countless hands. Over time, many of these coins became circulated pieces showing signs of everyday use. A circulated 2005 P Roosevelt dime may display scratches across its surface, faded shine, and small marks caused by years of contact with other coins. Environmental damage can also affect coins when they are exposed to moisture, chemicals, or harsh conditions. This type of damage may create dark spots, corrosion marks, and uneven textures that change the coin's appearance. Picture a 2005 P Roosevelt dime that has spent years traveling through pockets, drawers, and coin links. Once bright surface now shows thin scratches and rough patches. Small areas of discoloration appear where the metal reacted to moisture or environmental exposure. The edges may feel slightly worn, and the fine details of Roosevelt's portrait might appear less sharp than when the coin was first minted. To most people, such a coin would seem damaged and worth only 10 cents. However, collectors often pay close attention to coins that appear unusual. In rare situations, environmental damage and circulation wear can combine with other factors to create distinctive surface patterns or uncommon features. These differences may attract interest from collectors who carefully study coins under magnification, searching for anything that sets one coin apart from the rest. Stories within the coin collecting community have highlighted examples of modern Roosevelt dimes gaining attention at auctions due to rare characteristics. While most 2005 P dimes remain worth only their face value, certain unusual pieces have been discussed with estimated auction values reaching as high as $65,000. Such high values are extremely rare and usually involve special factors like verified rarity, limited examples, or strong collector demand. What makes this idea exciting is the possibility that valuable coins can hide in places we least expect. Many people store spare change in jars or containers at home, sometimes leaving them untouched for years. Inside those collections, coins continue to age and develop unique marks from their surroundings. Each scratch and stain becomes part of the coin's history, telling a story of where it has been and how it was used. If you ever find a 2005 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark that shows scratches, corrosion, or environmental damage, it may be worth examining more closely. Hold the coin under bright light and observe the details carefully. Look at the lettering around the edges, the features of Roosevelt's portrait, and the condition of the reverse link parry it with other dimes from the same year to see if anything looks different or unusual. Of course, it is important to remember that most circulated and damaged coins remain worth only their face value. Extremely high auction prices are rare and usually depend on verified uniqueness confirmed by professional grading services. Still, the excitement of coin collecting comes from the search itself, the possibility that one overlooked coin could hold an unexpected story or surprising value. Think about the sound coins make when they drop into your hand or clink together in a jar. Each coin has traveled through countless transactions, passed between strangers, and survived years of use. Some coins have remained hidden in storage vaults, while others have circulated widely across the country. The knowledge that billions of coins are still stored in Federal Reserve facilities adds an extra layer of mystery to the coins we handle every day.